Welcome to the Hotter Than Health podcast, a podcast and resource for those looking to expand and elevate their lives. Each week, we will bring you provocative topics, engaging interviews, and some of the biggest names in health and wellness to answer your burning questions. Each episode, you will leave with tangible tips and takeaways so that you can immediately begin to elevate and optimize your life.
Creates a custom formula that goes into a chamber and creates a custom gel formula for you based on your test results and your survey answers.
I wanted to say a quick thank you to this week's review of the week. It is from Amy Lynn 4487 called Weekly Dose of Info, 5 stars on iTunes. Thank you, Amy Lynn. The HTH podcast has been such a game changer in health, wellness, life, and growth in the most real way. Eliza is a bright light of information for plant-dominant living that has helped me grow. She gets top guests within each industry to educate and share their struggles and successes. I recommend this to everyone I talk to or work with. Thank you so much, Amy Lynn. That means the world. And if you want to be featured as a review of the week, let me know. And if this is you, Amy Lynn, then send me a message on Hotter Than Health podcast on Instagram when you hear this, and I will send you a tote, brand new. So excited for everyone to get them. Remember, if you leave a review, you are featured and you can win a brand new Hotter Than Health tote bag. If you want to see what those look like, head to Hotter Than Health podcast and you can get a sneak peek. But thank you again, Amy Lynn. Send me a message on Hotter Than Health podcast on Instagram. Let's get into today's episode. Hello. Thank you so much for listening to this week's episode of Hotter Than Health. I am Eliza Gelman. So happy to have you here with me today. If this is your first time or one of your first episodes listening, I've gotten a number of messages just in the past week or so of new listeners, people who say that they're really into it. So if this is a new venture for you, a new podcast addiction, then welcome. I'm so happy to have you here. Remember to rate, subscribe, and share the podcast. The best SEO in the world for podcasts is for people to specifically write words in reviews. So if you want to write nutrition or health or plant dominant or plant-based or plants or digestion or conference calls, poop, whatever, you can write that in a review. That would be unbelievably helpful. So welcome to this week's episode. Before we dive into our guest, Douglas Giampapa, today, I just have a couple of announcements. And if you're new here, I say we a lot. It is just me and my dog, Jack, who's, oh my God, you guys, the other day I had a glass of wine with some friends at Graft downtown in Charleston, and we went and had the best time, and on my way home, the sun was setting, and I was so just blissed out, happy, listening to the best music with the windows down. It was classic Charleston, just feel good. And I thought to myself, okay, Jack is 14 years old and I want him to live his life and I want him to experience new smells, new buttholes, new people to pet him, new sights. And I thought, okay, I'm going to bring him to the park down the street. The park is, I think, maybe 0.3 miles away, but the thing about Jack is that he's half basset hound. So not only is he extremely low to the ground, so he sniffs everything really easily, but he's just a very curious, slow dog. So walking him, and then this is not an exaggeration. If I walked him 0.3 miles, it would take 60 minutes, and he just doesn't have that type of stamina anymore, unfortunately. And okay, let's fast forward. So I load him into the back of the Prius, which was, I'm sure it was hard for people to watch that because Jack does not like for people to touch his belly and for me to hoist him into the car. He's 65 pounds and I just threw out my back last week, so I was not about to deadlift this dog into the car. Anyways, a horrific sight to see me putting him in the car. So we get in the car. My boyfriend had just pulled up and he gets in the car with me. We're so excited. I have the leash, the poop bag, all the good stuff. And we get to the park and I'm telling you, it is as though this dog has never seen the light of day. And he had come from underneath the ground where the mole people live, and he was sniffing fresh grass for the first time. Loving it, having so much fun. We walk around the park, fresh blades of grass, like walking with our feet in the grass, just earthing, feeling so good. Best Sunday ever. We're like, okay, it's time to put him back in the car. So Jake does this, obviously, which is my boyfriend. Jake puts Jack in the car. Yeah, Jake and Jack. That was on purpose. So Jake puts him in the car, and we get home. All is great. Jack has his head out the window, like living his best life. And we get home, and Jake goes to take Jack out of the car. And getting a dog out of the car that cannot jump out of the car, it's not the easiest. So Jake is trying to be as graceful as possible and take care of Jack as possible. But Jack's like squirming. And if you've ever held a baby while it's squirming, it's not that hard. Same with a puppy. Like, okay, yeah, it's squirming, but you're stronger than it. You can overpower it. But with this dog, he's like slashing back and forth with this big hairy sea cucumber with short legs. And it's just, you cannot control it. So he kind of just flips and flops out of Jake's arms and rolls onto the ground. And my Prius is low to the ground. It's not like he fell more than 4 inches. But anyways, traumatic to see. This dog gets up and is limping. He's like Snoop Dogg without a cane, with a little bit of a swagger. But the swagger continuously got worse throughout the past couple of days. So all of this to say, Jack's poor arm has been out of commission for the past few days. Okay, let's bring this full circle. It's just Jack and I. We're just here. It's just we are the team. And we have my audio guy, Dave, who's the shit. You'll hear me talk about him. But anyways, that is what I've got for you. So it's just us. If you'd like to leave a review for, God, just help a girl out. Anyways, I've gotten some questions recently as an update about podcast stuff. We are going to be doing, let me get a drum roll. We are going to be doing a book club, and I haven't gotten logistics nailed out, but I do have a list of books that I know that I not only want to reread, but I've heard amazing things. So we're going to have a nice, well-rounded holistic approach to our reading list. We're going to have some holistic nutrition books. We will have some different wellness and motivational books, tips on organization, mindset. So again, a whole holistic approach to the body, mind, soul, lifestyle. I can't wait for that. I'm truly so excited. And if you're interested in that, obviously it's free. It's a book club. Hello. If you're interested in that, then let me know. I would love to hear your thoughts. But be on the lookout for that within the next couple of weeks. And also, if you're interested, I still do the one-on-one nutrition programming. So it's a 3-month intensive program, completely customized based on accountability, nutrition, mindset, and creating full lifestyle transformations and habit building and recognition. It's one of the more popular programs, and if you want to see if that's a good fit for you, you can book a 30-minute strategy call. That one is free. And if you just want to know more about nutrition, and if you want to kind of deep dive into your day-to-day and see what is working for you, what's not working for you, maybe you're working out a ton and you're not seeing any results, maybe you just need a 1-hour nutrition consultation, you can buy that on my website. And if you just really enjoy cooking, but you want consistent healthy meals, but you want to understand why they're healthy, and you want to go into the grocery store without too much disorganization, you can subscribe to the monthly meal plan. You'll get your grocery list, you will get an audio file that breaks down every recipe and explains to you like best practices, substitutes, all of that good stuff. I know you all will enjoy that. We have a bunch of people signed up for it and they all love it. I get reviews saying that it's like the easiest recipes and it helps people, especially going into work and prepping, and they don't have to make a million things for their family. Wow, that is enough of that. Thank you for indulging me with all of my subtle plugs. She is nothing if not humble. All right, let's get into today's episode. So, Who is Douglas Giampapa? I love his name, Giampapa. So, Douglas is the founder and CEO of HealthyCell, which is an advanced nutrition company, and it uses clinically proven, patent pending ingestible gel technology to deliver nutrients that people can absorb. These are 265% the rate of pills, and the results they can measure in a pill free experience that they love. So, the supplements that are created from HealthyCell, they are taken straight from a gel packet, mixed into drinks or blended into smoothies. I just kind of shoot mine like a gel packet. The products are really specifically helpful for people who have difficulty swallowing pills, and it's great. We've talked about this before on the podcast. It's great for habit stacking, but you guys will love this episode. We talk about what supplements on the market are BS, what to look for in supplements to know if you should just like throw them away. Honest to God, I was kind of surprised when he mentioned a lot of this, and he gives us the backdoor look into a lot of facts that we don't know about supplements. I can think of 90% of people that I know are taking some type of supplement daily or weekly, and the information that he expresses and lets us know on today's episode really opened my eyes to a lot of things. And that's coming from someone who, like, I feel like I'm pretty well versed in supplements and definitely above, I guess, the average person, but this conversation completely blew me away. I loved this conversation. We are doing a giveaway. If you're interested in winning, we are doing 3 winners. So if you're interested in winning a 30-day supply of these HealthyCell vitamins of your choice, then all you have to do is go to my Instagram, Hotter Than Health Podcast, and let us know your favorite part of the episode. But we talk about water-soluble and fat-soluble vitamins. We talk about what the difference is between vitamins now and vitamins a long time ago. We talk about your GI tract and especially how you age. It can affect the efficiency of your GI tract. We talk about basically what we should be taking to help us sleep, what supplements are for who, and again, like I said, we go all over the place talking about supplements, and it's very specific, and I highly recommend this to absolutely anybody who is taking more than one supplement a day, or just, any supplements at all. I learned so much. I've been taking their products for the past few months, and I didn't necessarily know we were going to have Douglas on the podcast when we talked about partnership. But after taking these products for a while, I sent him an email and said, please, you've got to come on the podcast and explain why it's so significantly important to be taking this type of advanced technology gel supplement as opposed to the pills. So without further ado, you guys will absolutely love this episode with Douglas. He's a wealth of knowledge, so many examples, tips, and tricks. Let's get into it. And don't forget to enter today's giveaway. Without further ado, Douglas Giampapa, welcome to the Hotter Than Health podcast. Well, Douglas, we're here. We're both in Mount Pleasant, yet in 2 different places. That is fine. A little offended, but it's no big deal. We will get through it. Well, thank you so much for being here. I'm really excited to talk about HealthyCell. I've been using it for, 2.5, 3 months now. I love it.
Awesome. Well, I'm glad to hear that. Thank you for having me on the show. It's an honor.
Sure thing. Absolutely. So before we get into everything, I'd love to hear and let the audience know a little bit about you, about your background. We like to kind of start with how you grew up. Have you always been able to nerd out in the, tech world or in the science world, research? Tell us about all of that. How were you as a kid and what brought you to where you are now?
Sure. So growing up, my father was a medical doctor and my mother was a nurse. So I was always around health related topics. Really, my father was involved very early on with studying cellular health and basically how that relates to healthy aging, because aging is really just a kind of chronic decline of cellular health and function over time. So that kind of piqued my interest in overall health. I kind of took a diversion from that, went to Cornell for business administration and hotel and resort management. Ended up after there going to Costa Rica for 5 years, living on basically the beach and the rainforest, doing sustainable real estate development. And when when the financial crisis hit, it wasn't the time to come up vertically out of the ground with anything. So I wrote a business plan for a regenerative medicine company based on all the knowledge I had kind of through osmosis being around my dad. And we got that funded, and that kind of became the genesis of what is today HealthyCell. So
Oh,
I don't know
wow.
how far back you want me to go, but that's
No,
the full story.
that is something I did not realize in my research, that you had been in Costa Rica for 5 years, which probably shows the extent of my research. So but well, Costa Rica also is a blue zone, so everyone there is super healthy. What did you observe? If you could lay out just a few of the basics, if someone's never been to Costa Rica, maybe they're not super familiar with blue zones, or they are, what were some of the main differences that you noticed in the Costa Rican blue zone lifestyle and, you know, Charleston, the US, our lifestyles?
Sure, sure. So I actually spoke with Dan Buettner while I was down there too, who coined the phrase blue zones.
Which I didn't
And
realize. I thought it was something to do with science and, this really cool story, but he was like, I only had a blue pen.
so he basically studied these areas in the world where lifespan is abnormally long, high number of centenarians, people that live to 100 plus, and kind of gathered all the commonalities between those zones. And he wrote a book called Blue Zones, all about that. So Costa Rica, one area of Costa Rica is considered a blue zone, the Nicoya Peninsula there, and there are a lot of different factors. One of them is just having a really solid family life and low stress, and kind of that social life around you that does a lot of things biochemically in the body. That was one of the things among many, uh, but it kind of illustrates an overall framework. The way I think about health is, it's kind of a wheel, and there are many different spokes, and supplements is not the end all be all. It's just one spoke on a big wheel. That's kind of the spoke we play on with HealthyCell. But there are so many different spokes. You've got sleep, you've got stress management, you've got diet, you've got exercise. There's just so much, and it's a complex thing. And blue zones tend to have optimal spokes, kind of many optimal spokes that lead to that kind of center of health. It's interesting. There are seven of them. I'm not sure if Japan is considered one
It should
anymore.
be.
Well, I don't know. After Fukushima and all the radiation that went around,
Fair.
and the water and everything, I don't know if that will affect things. But I know that in Japan was one of them, and I think still is considered one. So there's about seven.
Which, looking at the amount of, and I've had people on the podcast talking about the benefits of algae, some natural soy products, and how a lot of their, in Japan, how they have a lot of different food choices that lead to longevity, but also, interestingly enough, and I don't know numbers for the statistic, but I will say Japan, the Japanese culture does have a higher tendency towards stomach cancers and things like that because of the high sodium rates. So there's this balance that
Interesting.
they're trying to figure out. So maybe, just going to show, all around the world we can use HealthyCell. So, okay, so you were in Costa Rica for 5 years. That's incredible. Crisis happens, market crashes, everyone panics and doesn't know what to do. It sounds like you had a plan. You created HealthyCell, and for those who don't know exactly what it is, I've been posting it on my Instagram for the past few months and talking about it on the podcast. But what is HealthyCell in a nutshell, and what makes it different from other supplement companies?
Sure. So in general, we're an advanced nutrition company that, we have the goal of helping people reach their potential, whatever that means to you. If it's career wise, if it's being a better parent, if it's being physically, in the best shape of your life, you can't do any of those things unless you are healthy. Recently, I went through COVID a few weeks ago, and afterward, my energy was just sapped. Right, and I just felt this lack of motivation, this lack of energy, and It's basically the same way I feel when I don't get sleep because if my two little kids keep me up all night, I don't get sleep, I can't focus, I have no energy, and motivation just gets killed. So,
Like deflated.
there are people that live their life chronically in that kind of state or in and out of it because they're just not healthy. And you can't be productive and excel in life if you feel like that, right? So the way we help people reach their potential is through optimal health, which comes from, in our case, the spoke that we play on that wheel of health is optimizing nutrient levels. So we try to give people information about those other spokes, how to sleep better, how to eat right. So from an information point of view, we do play in those other areas, but from a product point of view, we stay on that spoke of supplementation. And HealthyCell is different because we use a clinically proven, patent pending ingestible gel that we call a microgel that delivers nutrients people can absorb 165% more than tablets, according to our last clinical study that was done that should be published soon, and a pill free, enjoyable experience. So that's really what we offer.
I love that. And I think that a lot of times, well, we talk a lot about habit stacking on the podcast. I don't know if you've read the book Atomic Habits by James Clear. If you haven't, you need to. It will be
I haven't. I've heard about it though. So okay, that's next on my list.
once you have read it, you will refer this book to everyone you know. I have talked about it until until your ears will bleed. But either way, they talk about habit stacking. So making a habit really attractive and making it sustainable moving forward. I was talking to my sister yesterday about how we used to take the Flintstone vitamins in the morning.
Oh yeah.
And it was really just, there might have been a little benefit to it, but all the synthetics and fillers and colors and dyes, those kinds of things kind of probably counteracted it, but it was creating a habit. So let's talk about the difference between pills and gels. So what can you tell us? Because when we spoke a while ago, you mentioned a few things about sediments and the bioavailability.
Sure. So I will take you kind of on a trip under the hood. This is the stuff that most people don't get to see. It's pretty interesting.
Oh, okay.
In 2018 or 2017, I ran across an ex-Pfizer food scientist that was working out of University of New England at the time, and he said, "Doug, you have to fly up and see what we're doing with these experiments on the best-selling supplements in tablet, capsule, and powder form on the market right now. It's going to blow your mind and change the way you think about things." I said, "Okay, sounds interesting." Took a flight up to Maine, went into the university there where he was working out of the School of Pharmacy at the time, and he was taking tablets, capsules, and powders and putting them in simulated stomach fluid in test tubes and simulated gastric fluid in test tubes. And over time, you would see the tablet kind of break apart and disintegrate into this sandy material, like fine sand that would be at the bottom of the test tube. And so he said, notice that very little of this stuff actually gets solubilized, meaning dissolves like in the fluid, which is a prerequisite for your body to be able to absorb things. They should be solubilized. And so he said, so now we're going to take these particles. He took his pipette, took the particles out, and ran them through particle size analysis at the university, this big machine and a big expensive machine, and proved to me that they were 10 to 100 times too big to fit through the small intestine. So he said, all this stuff you're seeing at the bottom test tube, it's not getting absorbed. And I said, well,
And
what
that's like
about
the bulk of those pills.
Yes, it is. It is. And so I said, well, doesn't the stomach grind it down during, digestion and kind of just the movement of everything through the GI tract? He said, no, we've designed experiments for that. We've sonicated the hell out of it, meaning like vibrated it, much stronger than your stomach would do. And it wouldn't break down. So the conclusion was we're not absorbing most of what's in these, probably very little. And so at the time, I'm not a PhD in his field. So I went to UMass to get the world's top expert to opine. His name is Dr. Julian McClements. He wrote the Nutraceutical Bioavailability Classification System, which is basically the kind of seminal paper on how supplements get absorbed or don't get absorbed in your body. And I got a gentleman from his lab on the phone with the guy I was working with, and he said, "Yeah, we see the same thing in our lab." So that's kind of how I knew that there was an issue. And the solution we came up with was, or that he came up with, this ex-Pfizer food scientist, is really a gel system. So we pre-solubilize the fat-soluble nutrients in one phase during production, meaning dissolve them in natural oils using low heats. We take the water-soluble nutrients and solubilize them in water, put them together in a natural emulsion, using natural ingredients to basically keep it from separating out like oil and vinegar. And then we infuse that into a gel matrix made of healthy things like citrus pectin, soluble fibers, beta glucans, things like that, and then flavor it naturally. And at the end of the day, it's a lot of science for just saying you tear open a packet. 40% of Americans have difficulty with pills. You slurp it down, you can mix it in water, mix it in yogurt, put it in a smoothie, and it's just all around a better way to supplement your diet.
And so what we're saying is that for the most part, when you are taking supplements in a pill form, that residue is just because we're never just taking one pill. It's normally a
Right.
lot, and every day it just builds up. So that fine grain sand is just kind of sitting at the bottom of our digestive tract.
So the tablets are probably the least optimal way. And yes, there's a lot of kind of fine sandy material. Not only are they sitting there, but there's a group of scientists who believe that it's actually scratching the mucosal lining of our in our GI tract, and that could be causing more inflammation and could potentially be a culprit. Although they need to do more studies in the rise of bowel type conditions, disorders, diseases.
That's what I was thinking. I picture over a period of time, rubbing sand on skin or something
Mhm.
a lot less substantial than our skin on like our arm or something. But eventually it will erode, and I'm just picturing literal leaky gut. I'm picturing small holes and punctures and things like that so that nutrients would escape, right? Okay.
I don't know if it's holes, but scratching that protective lining
Yeah.
could be causing more inflammation,
Okay. Okay.
which is not good. We all know.
So it could potentially be in the long term detrimental to the consumer. Okay.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, I want to hear also about what you going back to the spokes that you mentioned in the beginning. So the importance of supplementation, but alongside a good diet and a healthy lifestyle, community, and moderating stress. Can you talk
Mhm.
about making supplementation just as much of a priority as those things, especially as you age?
Sure. So I'm a big proponent, and as I'm confident you are, that you should get most of your nutrients from your diet, meaning plan out a healthy diet, have the discipline to follow it. But we all know kind of practicality sets in, right? And people are, kind of living on the go. It's hard to really plan out like a perfectly laid out meal every day, with everything that gets in the way in life. So it is important to supplement properly to fill the gaps in your diet, especially as you age. So as you age, a few things happen. So your GI tract becomes less efficient. It's not as good at absorbing things as it once was, and so that can lead to more nutrient deficiencies as you age. For example, you've got a certain bacterial balance in your gut when you're younger, and that can become imbalanced as you age and decrease the absorption of certain nutrients like vitamin B12, iron, calcium. And then you have kind of a downward spiral because as you age, also after age 30, your melatonin production drops off. So it's harder to get the sleep that you once got. And then you have the lack of sleep or poor sleep can actually create more gut issues. So it's really important for people as they age to supplement with a highly absorbable broad spectrum nutrient.
Sure. And you mentioned as you age, GI tract functions not as optimally. For someone who is taking supplements at home. Let's say, normally clients that I work with, they say, oh, I take a probiotic, I take a vitamin D, and then I take maybe a prenatal or some other supplement. They're taking all of those throughout the day, but they're thinking, okay, do I just want to throw all these things away? I am aging, but I want to replace it. Would HealthyCell in one singular packet be able to replace most other supplements?
Yeah, I mean, what I see today is typically people do have a handful of things they take, and Healthy Cell, if you're on our vegan essentials or bioactive multi, those are our two multivitamin products. It will replace most of them. It just depends on what that person's regimen is. But I do want to make one point. So you said vitamin D, for example, on the side. So there are gel caps of vitamin D or just vitamin E where it's perfectly pre-solubilized in natural oils. Those in pill, technically it's a pill form, will work fine. It's just when you get to these multi-ingredient formulas where you're packing them into a tablet, or there are all these kind of ground up kind of sand-like particles inside a capsule. That's where we see the issues. It's really on the multi-ingredient
Mhm.
formulas. If you take a single vitamin E, vitamin D, or even a single vitamin C, um, it's probably going to do okay in your GI tract. But the problem is nobody wants to take 20 different pills just to make sure they're getting it all in the right format, in the most bioavailable format. So it's simple to take something like we've created where you just tear off the top and everything's there, and everything is in a pre-solubilized format.
Sure. And without, doing these companies too dirty, can you name a couple without, stepping on toes, but can you name a couple of companies or even specific vitamins or supplements that are out there that, like, what is one of the most popular supplements but is actually one of the least productive that you've seen? Because just this, for example,
Yeah.
everyone and their mother were racing this past year to go get zinc and to go get elderberry. Are
Mhm.
those, I mean, that's just an example that people were rushing so that production increased. Um,
Yeah.
what's one product out there that you would say, it's so hyped up and the bioavailability is just shit? People age at different speeds, and the date on your license may not represent your inner biological age at all. If you're looking for ways to extend your health span and slow down the aging process, the keys to health and longevity run in your blood. That's why Inside Tracker provides you with a personalized plan to boost your metabolism, reduce stress, improve sleep, and optimize your health for the long haul. Created by leading scientists in aging, genetics, and biometrics, Inside Tracker analyzes your blood, DNA, and fitness tracking data to identify where you're optimized and where you're not. Now you can connect Inside Tracker to your Apple Watch to unlock deeper, more precise insights into your health. With real-time exercise, resting heart rate, and sleep data synced with your Inside Tracker plan, you can truly wear your health on your sleeve. For a limited time, you can get 20% off of the entire Inside Tracker store. Just go to insidetracker.com/hotter-than-health. Again, insidetracker.com/hotter-than-health. Again, that is 20% off of your entire Inside Tracker store. Check out insidetracker.com/hotter-than-health, insidetracker.com/hotter-than-health. If you are like one of the millions of Americans out there who struggle to fall asleep and stay asleep throughout the night, then listen up. This is for you. All right, so we have all heard of melatonin. Your body actually produces it naturally, but we have been seeing more and more studies coming out about how using melatonin as a supplement can really be detrimental to our health. It can hinder some of your natural production. We can become dependent on it and therefore disrupting our sleep if we don't have it. And we don't want to rely on anything fully to go to sleep. Melatonin actually, kind of like caffeine, it has a half-life, which means that it can affect you hours and hours and hours after you actually take the product. So you can wake up and you can feel super groggy and you can kind of have those weird hallucinations before you go to bed, which personally, I don't love. So it can definitely also impair fasting glucose levels and disrupt your circadian rhythm, which is why I have actually been before bed consuming the Organifi golden milk tea. So it's based in turmeric and different adaptogens. It has ginger and ashwagandha, and it leaves you feeling calm and relaxed, and it helps to kind of just clear the mind. It is not something that is going to sedate you. It's not going to put you to sleep completely. It's really just going to help facilitate your natural sleep cycle, which is why I absolutely love it. It's great for the end of the night, especially as a sweet treat. It doesn't have any added sugars, but it has the sweetness from the coconut and the turmeric and the ginger. What I love about it is that people a lot of the time don't know that you need to consume turmeric, which is an anti-inflammatory and super potent antioxidant, but you need to take it with a little bit of black pepper to help with the absorption and the assimilation of the turmeric. So they have already done that for you. It has black pepper, it has ginger, coconut milk powder, it has turmeric. I am so obsessed with this product. It is creamy, it is rich. I just drink it with hot water at night, and then I use my milk frother, and it is just a creamy, good, awesome time. And I go to bed feeling calm and clear, and like I've also satisfied my sweet tooth. So if you want to try the golden powder, make sure you're checking out Organifi.com/HTH so that you can get 20% off of your order. This is the best offer that they have anywhere. You're not going to find 20% off on the website or anywhere on their Instagram. It is for Hotter Than Health listeners only. Again, it's Organifi.com. Skip the melatonin and head to Organifi and get the golden milk tea. It is the best powder. So delicious, so creamy, great for hormones, great for health, great for sleep. Organifi.com/HTH for 20% off.
So I'm not going to name names.
Yeah, you don't have to name names.
But what I can do is tell you just, I mean, the format, just most things in a tablet don't do as well. You know, if and let's just kind of like talk about why for a minute. I like to use this analogy of, you know, listening to music, right? If you've listened to music, if you want the best way to listen, or look at the industry in general. I mean, they went from records to, you know, 8 tracks to cassettes to CDs to MP3s, now streaming, right? It's like they're always improving the way they're delivering their product. If you look at supplements around in the 1930s in a very similar way to what they are now. I mean, there hasn't really been an upgrade in the way they've been delivered. It's been a huge innovation gap in the industry, and it's even more surprising because there is a problem with the current way things are delivered. So you would think that the industry would innovate, right? But what you have is you have big companies and big production operations that focus on lowering cost of goods, extending shelf life, and ease of manufacturing as the priority, and that does nothing for the customer, right? That's all bottom line for the companies making these things. So
Sure.
it's actually detrimental to the customer, as we discussed, with some of these particles not being absorbed and potentially causing issues. So that's kind of it's more of an industry wide problem than like specific brands. Back to your elderberry question, I think zinc, if taken in the right format, is a really good thing. Zinc inside the cell, if you combine it with quercetin helps it get in the cell, and there is evidence that it slows viral replication. Elderberry is another good one if it's taken at an effective dose. So, for example, when we formulate products like our Immune Super Boost that comes back in stock, I think next week.
Mm-hmm.
Um, because we have 25 milliliters, we've got a lot more volume to play with than a tablet where 25% of it's probably going to be just binding glues, right? So you've got a very small amount to work with. So these companies it's called fairy dusting. They kind of sprinkle a little bit in to get it on the label, but if you look at the studies, X amount of milligrams, X amount of, for example, you look at echinacea, 400 milligrams is what the study says has been effective in enhancing, white blood cell function, right? So that's kind of what you should put in at a minimum in order to get that immune benefit. Elderberry, same thing. There are different studies showing different levels being effective, and then below that they aren't. So yeah, these things can be really good, but you have to get the effective dosage. And you
Yeah.
have to have a company that formulates with the effective dosage because they have the room to formulate with the effective
And
dosage.
so often you look at the back of supplementation or you look at the back of supplements and you will see on the packaging that it says, 4 tablets per serving or
Yeah,
something like that. So if you're not actually focusing on the serving size, then you're not really getting the benefit of it. But even then, that serving size is just the bare minimum. But then you still have the bioavailability. Maybe you're still getting 25% of that, right? So
right.
that's, I just wanted to see, because we're all about efficiency here. I used to travel with all my supplements and it just got to be kind of a waste of time. And then I would look at them and they were all expired and it just
Yeah, it's
didn't,
broken. All around, it's a broken system. And
yeah.
so and it's also the other thing I like to talk about with these gels is it's so much more natural, right? We don't have binding glues, we don't have fillers, we don't have coatings, we don't have anti-caking agents, which keep things flowing in the machines. Again, all back to how it's manufactured. Like they put all these things in here just so it's easier to manufacture, right? But these things aren't things you want to be taking every day.
Yeah.
So that's why we're much more natural with like our other ingredients. You look at the label and look at other ingredients, they're healthy things, citrus pectin, fibers, beta glucans, things like that. You don't need to put that other crap in.
I have to play devil's advocate for myself and for
Yeah.
people who are going to ask me this question. I'm a as a nutritionist, I go through nutrition labels with clients often, and
Mhm,
we always look at the ingredients. That's always first thing I
mhm,
look at. And I have to say that I I love HealthyCell. I emailed you guys the other day. I said, I need more. I'm out. Please send. I love it.
mhm,
It's affected me in the best way. My regularity, like my conference calls, which is what you call number 2 in the morning, is so much better formed. Everything is
mhm.
working really well. And I'm wondering if it has to do with like the lack of erosion that I'm experiencing in my gut. But, anyways, that is neither here nor there. Natural flavors.
Mhm.
So I know that a lot of natural flavors can contain up to like 50, 60 different ingredients. And I want to know a little bit about where you source your natural flavors because that's something that I get all the time. People will be like, oh, well, I really like this product, but did you see that it contains natural flavors? Can you talk a little bit about
Mhm.
that? And because I want to hear your perspective from it because I'm still a huge fan of the
Yeah.
product. I like to know.
Yeah, there's two things so there's two things we try to do. So the first thing, and then I'll get your natural flavors question, is the so preservatives are big in anything that contains moisture typically has preservatives. So even if you look at liquid vitamins, which by the way contain a lot of the same particles, which is why they say shake before use. Anything that says shake before use is not fully solubilized. But anyway, so there are nasty ones out there like sodium benzoate, etc. The one we use is a label friendly one, potassium sorbate, but we actually just reformulated to take that out even. I mean, we're constantly improving so that we're going to be using just a natural citric acid,
Okay.
which is like as label friendly as you get. Citric acid occurs naturally in a lot of things you eat. So that's the other thing that I thought you were going to probably bring up. But as far as natural flavors go, we try to use the base ingredients as most of the flavor. So, for example, in our bioactive multi, we have got a natural berry blend that has its own flavor. So we use very little amounts of natural flavors, but natural flavors are just that. They're not artificially synthesized things. They're naturally occurring chemical compounds that drive taste on your taste buds. So it's not something that I think people should be concerned about.
Okay. I just wanted to
Yeah.
hear your perspective on it. That
Yeah.
makes sense to me. Okay.
It's not, I mean, natural compounds, I mean, I if you Google it and you look, you'll see, for example, on the C of A, it'll say, peach WONF,
Hmm.
which means natural peach flavor with other natural flavors. So it's very complicated when you talk about the tongue and taste buds and the way
Hmm.
it works. But yeah, it's stuff that's naturally compounds that are natural, basically not artificially synthesized.
Got it. And then taking it back to the home. So, for anyone listening, is there anything that we can do to know which of our supplements we should maybe be filtering out? The ones that we already have.
Mhm.
So, obviously, order HealthyCell. It's incredible. But, add that into your daily routine. But is there anything that we can do with the supplements that we have now to know for a fact? I mean, is it just based on like residue on the bottom of the bottle? How can we tell if our supplements
Yeah.
here are
So
doing
it
what they need to
basically
be
it's as
doing?
simple as this. If anything that's in a natural gel cap, meaning it's got like liquid inside, like oil inside it, like a vitamin D, for example, vitamin E like that, vitamin K like that, is probably going to be absorbed pretty well. But again, why do you have to take that separately? Anything that you have in a tablet form, I would probably get rid of, to be honest with you,
Okay.
and just go with a gel or a liquid that does not say, shake before use. So yeah, I mean, I think I would give that advice, and also to look at what you're taking and make sure that when you're combining it all together, and I see this all the time with people that send me a picture of their cabinet and they're like, "Yeah, I take these 20 things every day."
Mm-hmm.
And then you realize they're taking, 5 or 6 times the amount of, vitamin E or vitamin K that they should be taking, and they're not taking into account that you can take too much of certain fat soluble vitamins and it builds up in your tissues, and that can cause problems too. So you have to have a balanced approach.
Sure, sure. And especially like you go to the bathroom after you take it and it's like radioactive pee. You're like, wait, maybe this
Yeah.
is not, maybe this is all coming out when it shouldn't be. Well, thank you for all of that. I'm so excited for everyone to try it. I want to rewind a little because there are a lot of people in here who have great ideas. A lot of people listening who are either they're in the middle of kind of a midlife crisis. Maybe they want to quit their job and go into something more holistic or even go into real estate, go into another venture. I want to rewind to what you mentioned earlier. You said that when you were leaving the sustainable real estate development in Costa Rica, you created a business plan. Obviously, you were using your major to help you with that creation and kind of the knowledge that you already had. But then you talked about you funded that first practice. Can you walk us through what your actual steps were as an entrepreneur moving through the process of a startup, and if someone is interested in getting into this field and maybe they're not a doctor, but what were your processes like, and can you walk us through your first round of investing and your those
Mhm.
kinds of obstacles that came up?
Sure. Um, it was a roller coaster ride. It was definitely a roller coaster ride. I so so I took about 60 flights over the course of a year and pitched this investment all over the place. Um, got shut down by 59 people, and ended up getting funding from one gentleman who's a pretty well-known billionaire, and he really invested for the stem cell technology that was part of this regenerative medicine plan. I I then he brought another billionaire that put in 4.5 million, so we had $6.5 million, and was a I was way too young and inexperienced to run the company. So they brought in a CEO from California, and by the way, I didn't know I was going to tell this story. It's pretty wild, but but they brought in a CEO from California who brought in a bunch of his buddies. At one point, we had 18 people working the company, and I got a solid MBA on what not to do in business. It was pretty painful. Divergent focus, no accountability. It was doing stem cell research, building IP portfolios around that, which is very expensive. Cryogenic banking, stem cell therapies, and then there was like a little supplements division on the side, and that's where I did most of my work. But long story short, there was 800,000 left in the bank. Company was burning 200,000 a month, and I went to kind of the boardroom and say, guys, we're out of business in 4 months unless something changes. Sure enough, nothing changed. No one wanted to take pay cuts. And I was left holding the bag. 18 people became one. It was me sitting there with the company and $900,000 of debt. And I just said, I'm going to give it my best shot, and use it as a learning experience, and really fight for the investors to put money in. And we ended up building the company up. I spun out all the assets to help pay down some of the debt, and then work payment plans on the rest of them. I like to say it took me about 2 years and 2 inches of hairline to get through it, but I did get through it. We built
That's
up a
we have
small
supplements
team.
for that.
Well, we built up a small team, uh, doing pretty well, and we were selling the standard kind of tablets and capsules. Before, this is before I met that scientist, working up in University of New England. So we built it up, and I knew I was going to have to have something different. It's a hyper competitive industry. I need a real USP to fracture out market share, and I didn't want something that was gimmicky, right? I wanted something that was real. So I'm fortunate that I ran across this scientist, and that kind of led to what it is today. But throughout the process, I learned a lot, made a ton of mistakes, raised a little bit more money as it went on, got caught by a patent troll, and almost lost the business there, being sued. I remember talking to my attorneys, and they were like, "Doug, you're right. I mean, if you fight this case, you'll win it. It's going to take you 2 years and $250,000." So I had to settle, and it was just a war. It was basically like going through a different war every freaking month, and it was painful. And if you don't have perseverance, and you don't have like real faith that it's going to work, and you're not willing to work harder than anyone else, it's tough to start your own business. And I know that's like not really and that might not be motivating to people, but I'm just being real with you.
Well, I think that hearing I think a lot of people catastrophize what they're going to jump into. Maybe they're going to leave a job and maybe it'll be a pay cut, or maybe they're going to start something else and they like, I don't have money, but I can't do this because I don't have this. I can't do this because I don't have this. I think that it's nice to see that even when you were down, you were still so strong willed in your belief for this product that kept you going even past the point of it. Almost the hole got to be so deep that you're like, well, it's just going to be dark in here for a while, you know?
Yeah, pretty much. Yes.
Okay, well, I wanted to hear that story. Thank you. And so fast forward to today, what is the company like? What is the energy, employee
Yeah.
wise? How's the day to day?
We're doing awesome right now. I mean, we're growing 20% month over month. Big stores and pharmacies and chains, courting us to do, different things with them, testing wise. They're going, testing our products before they put them on the shelf. These are kind of, big companies. Direct to consumer, I mean, we get thousands of new customers that come in every month, which is awesome. A lot of our business is driven by word of mouth because people really like the product. We've got incredible retention. People take it, they stick with it, they talk about it. So it's a relief to kind of have like the vision that I had a long time ago, kind of seeing it happen in reality validates the faith I had in it back then. Kind of, so it's nice to see that. There's some cool things we're doing. We are planning to do two different things. So we solved what we call the pill-free pillar, right? There's three pillars of the future of human nutrition supplementation. So there's pill-free, there's validation via, biomarker test kits, at-home kits that, you can prick your finger in your blood, send it into FDA certified, inspected, clear registered labs, the real deal. They can show you what's going on inside your body. So that's like objective data in addition to the subjective data, which is what you feel. And then the third thing is personalization. So we're doing some really cool things in those other areas. We solve pill free. With validation, we've got our test kits here that we're going to be launching really soon.
Oh, I'm
The
so
first
excited.
first public view of this test kit,
Move it a little over towards the screen. There you go. It's beautiful.
So there are several test kits we're going to be launching because we're so confident, based on our clinical studies and what people report, that our products work. Why not give people the opportunity to prove it to themselves, right? Why not give people the opportunity to take a test kit before and then after and show like it in hard data that it's working? Clinical studies are great, but it shows how it worked for someone else. So you can kind of extrapolate that to say, yeah, it's going to work for me. But on an N of one basis, meaning, if people want to know it works for them, they have a test kit they can take if they want to.
Mm-hmm.
On the personalization side, we'll be using data from the test kits in addition to subjective data, meaning surveys. And it's so cool. We partnered with a company that has a machine that's got 12 patents. We hang our bags of gel onto this machine, and it can kind of suck in to the micromilligram certain measurements of each bag, and so it creates a custom formula. It goes into a chamber and creates a custom gel formula for you based on your test results and your survey answers. And it's a 60-day supply, and it's going to be the first in the world customized, true customized, like N of one, just for you gel that can be made. So it's really cool. We're excited about that. And then people have an access to an interface where they can go kind of see their test results, see their custom formulation. And what's cool is we're going to give them a test kit every 90 days so that as you change and your needs change, like this formula adapts with you. So it's always optimizing your nutrient levels. We call it nutrition optimization as a service. So it's way beyond a product. In fact, we're not selling you a product. We're selling you optimized nutrient levels, right?
Mm.
So that's going to be really cool. There's a lot of exciting stuff coming down the pipeline.
And so for anyone listening who maybe is interested in trying the product, what are your two favorite products that you use? And can you touch on some of the benefits of those two? Just so that
Yeah,
we
so
don't overwhelm
we've
people.
got
I know there are so many.
yeah, I mean so I take the vegan essentials even though I'm not a vegan myself. I take vegan essentials every morning with a few other things that we don't make. So I take vegan essentials. I take, for example, True Niagen I like to, and a water soluble extract from the Amazon called AC11, which we do make. That's an interesting one as well. I also take the Immune Super Boost, which is, I think, the most powerful immune supplement on the market because it has those effective dosages of all these clinically proven ingredients: your echinacea, your elderberry, your C, your zinc, your beta glucan. Really, really powerful products. So those are the ones that I take: Vegan Essentials and Immune Super Boost. Sometimes I'll take a Focus and Recall here,
I
this
like
little
those.
little packet. Yeah, if I'm kind of tired or my kids kept me up the night before for whatever reason, I'll shoot one of those and it'll help me kind of lock into focus mode.
I really also liked the sleep essentials that you had for the REM cycles. I thought that was really, really fantastic. My boyfriend and I both took them for a number of nights, and it was not that it put you to sleep by any means. It was a little bit more refreshing the next morning. I think that the
Yeah,
best multivitamin is one that you can't tell when you're taking it, but you can tell when you're not taking it. You know what I'm saying?
that's so true. So this is interesting. When we do get people who are on a plan with us, like a monthly plan, and they cancel, what happens is typically within a week or two, they call back and they're like, "Oh, I need to get back on it." It's because the improvement is so gradual over time, every day. Like you feel great at the end of the month, but you're like, I don't know if it's from supplement or not. And then you drop off, and it's like it crashes.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
so the
It's like
decline
you
is a
could
lot
mhm.
steeper than the incline, like in that time period.
It's really true. And not to say that it's addictive or it's, completely something that you have to have, but I do think that especially, and I tell people this all the time, fruits and vegetables, they're not what they used to be. So even if you're getting this like abundantly rich and nutrient dense foods, it's still not providing the quantity of nutrients that it may have 15 years ago, 20 years ago, 30 years ago. So having this supplementation, I have genuinely noticed such a shift in not just energy. I've always been pretty freakishly energetic, so I didn't need help there, but I did notice
That's good.
a significant change in my fingernails. I've always had strong nails, but they're like, I mean, through a wall. They're so strong. But it's
Wolverine style.
it's that plus my conference calls they're incredibly formed. I feel like they're not inflamed. A lot of people who adopt a plant-dominant diet notice that things change in that department. So I really recommend highly this product for anyone who's already regular but wanting to really, again, optimize. So that's so
It's a
fantastic.
pain in the ass for me, to be honest with you, because I hate clipping my nails and I hate having to go for haircuts, but it's just like it sprouts.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
true. It
yeah.
really is true. I mean, look at these things. They're like ridiculous. And I feel like I just cut them last week, but they're just strong and they feel good. And I don't think anyone's going to complain about that. But before you leave, I'd love to give away a box of these because it's my company and I can do what I want with it, But if you would be open to doing a giveaway, I know that one of our listeners would be so, so excited to try your product.
Why don't we do even better? Let's do 3 giveaways,
Let's do it,
right?
Doug.
Let's
All
do
right.
it. 3 giveaways.
I love that. And all you have to do, you guys, is head over to iTunes, and I'm going to make this a little more intense for them. Head over to iTunes and let us know your favorite part. Mention the word supplements or HealthyCell or vitamins in the review for some good SEO, and you'll be entered in to win a whole package of multi or immune.
Full 30-day supply of any gel product we have.
Oh my God, I love that. A whole 30-day supply. So head over to iTunes. If you've already written an iTunes review, head over to Instagram and comment on the Instagram post that we have with this video with Douglas and myself. Well, I'm so excited, and I'm also going to put my code in the show notes for anyone who wants to try it for more than one attempt. We do have a code. It's HOTTER20 for 20% off. But Doug, before we leave, if you could give one tip for our listeners to live a more optimized lifestyle, whether it's other than HealthyCell, what would be your number one tip for living an optimized and healthful life?
The most underrated thing in health, the most underrated spoke on that wheel of health we talked about is sleep, like without a doubt. So you told me to read Atomic Habits. I'm going to tell you a book to read. Read the book Why We Sleep by Matt Walker, PhD.
Why we
Um,
sleep?
Why We Sleep by Matthew Walker, PhD. If you don't sleep, it will scare the hell out of you so that you do start sleeping. If you need to sleep a little bit better, it will motivate you to sleep a little bit better. It is amazing, like how many parts of health are related to sleep, and if you don't get enough, it could severely impact you over the long term. So I would say get really good quality, sufficient duration sleep. And we've got an article. It's called 12 Pro Tips for Better Sleep on our website. If you kind of just Google HealthyCell 12 Pro Tips for Better Sleep, they're all lifestyle tips that make a huge difference. Everything from temperature in your room to routine to blue blocking glasses, you name it. It's in there. And if you actually have the discipline to follow them, it will improve your sleep.
It really will. I think that's a big part of it that people don't necessarily put their full effort into. They think, oh, well, I wear blue light glasses. I'm like, yeah, but you're on your cell phone in bed. So,
Right.
little things like that. I totally believe in that as well. Yeah, sleep is just so crucial. We need to do a whole podcast episode on sleep. But Douglas, thank you so much for coming on here and letting us know all about HealthyCell. Remember to enter the giveaway, you guys. Either head over to iTunes, write a review mentioning supplements or HealthyCell or anything that has to do with this episode. Tell us what you loved, or head over to Instagram, Hotter Than Health Podcast. Follow HealthyCell and myself, and you'll be entered in to win a whole 30-day package. That'll be great.
Love
Well,
it. Thanks so much. Thanks for having me on. I really appreciate it.
of course, we'll have you on again. You are welcome anytime.
Sounds good. Have a good one. Bye.
Bye. I hope you absolutely loved that episode with Douglas Giampapa. He was fantastic, such a wealth of knowledge. If you want to watch that on YouTube, or if you want to share that, make sure you tag HealthyCell and Hotter Than Health. I will also take that as an entry for the giveaway. So all you have to do to enter and win a 30-day subscription or a 30-day supply of HealthyCell, a product of your choice. I recommend the vegan essentials. I'm obsessed with them. I really like them. But if you want to be entered, all you have to do is either take a screenshot of listening to this episode and share it to your Instagram. We're going to be doing this for the next 2 weeks and share this episode, tag HealthyCell and myself, Hotter Than Health podcast. And if you have already done that, then you can leave your favorite part of this episode on my most recent Instagram post. That will also be an entry. But again, there are 3 winners. You win a 30-day supply of whichever one you want. And I know you absolutely will love it. I'll be listening to that one again and again and again for all of the tips and tricks. But thank you so much for listening, and we will talk to you next Thursday.